right? And for junior designers, I feel like they really need that guidance in terms of a supervisor or a lead product designer, or maybe just a senior designer, or just someone, even a friend,
Mhm,
right? You could
mhm.
still be on the same level and still provide guidance and that constructive criticism in terms of your work.
It's good to have you here on the podcast. So people listening, welcome to the pod. Today's episode is with Cynthia. Cynthia, please pronounce your surname.
It's Cynthia Caxton.
Are you from Nigeria? It's not an average Nigerian name that you.
But of course, I am. It's an English name, does not necessarily have a meaning, but I'll tell you that the first printer in the world was William Caxton. So,
Oh, did you Google that? Did you Google that yourself?
no, actually, my dad told me.
That's
I
like this is
mean,
like
I have like a bunch of people asking me the same thing you just did.
exactly. It's like a very, very obvious conversation starter anytime you like pronounce it. Like
I know, right?
so I've been calling you Anastasia or Sunflower. At least that's how I
Mm-hmm.
refer to you, my doctor, or my message. Like
Mm-hmm.
Anastasia is also part of your name.
It is my middle name.
Hmm. So you have
Yeah.
Caxton, Cynthia, Anastasia.
Anesthesia. Yes, although I don't use it in any of my documents, obviously.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, at home, yes.
So what's are you Igbo? Delta? Like what's
No, I'm from the north, so
ah, so
yeah.
what's your northern name?
No, I wouldn't like to disclose that.
Say it now. Like it will change anything. Nobody will start calling you that all of a sudden, you know. Well, at least be interesting to know.
No,
Okay. Okay.
nah, that's for you to find out.
Hey. Okay. You start seeing social
Yeah.
person build your LinkedIn. You just know that you are the one that sent us on, on the wild chase.
Well,
Okay.
you're welcome to try.
Yeah, so like tell me, how long have you been like, teaching design, right?
Okay.
And
Okay.
okay, just let's start from there. Then we'll reverse back to like other very interesting stories I have here.
Okay, so I've been teaching and mentoring for 2 years now. I started in early 2021. Yeah, I
Mm-hmm.
think in February or thereabouts. I cannot really remember the exact month, but it was in the first quarter. So 2 years now. I've been teaching for 2 years.
Jesus, by the way, your voice is chill. Like your voice is very chill. It
Thank
brings
you.
it brings this like this chilling environment where you're like I'm just here to listen, that kind of thing. Yeah. So,
Thank you.
well, for the fact that you've been teaching design, how does that affect you and your daily routine with work and teaching?
For me, at first, I started as an opportunity to learn more, to grow, because I mean, when you teach, you never, um, you keep learning.
Mm-hmm.
So that was it for me. I wanted to give back to the community. And at first, I wasn't sure, of course, because I had about just a year of experience,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I'm already having an opportunity to teach. That's a big one for me. I was scared that maybe I might not even be able to impact anything on the students, or do I even have anything to impact? But still, I think the hardest thing is to start, right? So when you start, you're able to just go with the flow and just vibes and all that. But for me, I think it was time for me to organize myself, because I know that teaching is something I really love, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that realization dawned on me after my first teaching gig. And I'm like, I really enjoyed this and I want to do this on the side, right? But I had a full-time job and I was working in a fast-paced company, which means I don't have the luxury of, you
Mm-hmm.
know, just lounging. So I needed to do and think on my feet. So I had a fast-paced job, and I had my teaching gig, and I was still learning because I mean I just had a year experience as of then.
Mm-hmm.
So how do I then combine all this? I leveraged on what I already have. which is I love my job. I love what I do in terms of product design, in terms of UX design. I love what I do. And I was teaching. So now the thing is, as I teach, I learn. I was leveraging on that big time, right? I just wasn't teaching to say, okay, I know it all. No, I was making research, spending like the entire night. For example, if I have a class, I would, spend the entire night or the entire time trying to, balance my curriculum, my content, and all that. Make research verified. And I also had a very helpful mentor who, was able to put me through in terms of work, because that was my first work environment, official
Mm-hmm.
work environment. And I needed that balance to say, okay, I am serious. I really need this job, but I also love teaching. So I was able to balance them with organizing myself, learning on the go. So as I teach, I am also learning. My memory is fresh, which means I can always, use that for my full-time role. And yeah, I think that was it for me. It just became a thing, and I was able to balance all three at once.
Did you at any moment feel any sort of imposter syndrome, like, like you're teaching people something you are also learning, right? So you're teaching them what you already know. That's the aspect you teach them.
Mm-hmm.
Did you feel any sort of imposter
Mm-hmm.
syndrome, like, maybe I teach this guy something wrong, that kind of thing?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay, so of course, I had like multiple times that I felt, okay, no, this is just not it. It might just be that I'm deceiving myself and I'm deceiving people who are listening to me, because I mean,
Mm,
1 year of experience,
exactly.
what would I possibly know that I would impact on people? But I think I had a very supportive partner who would always tell me that if you're able to go a year, which means that you already have accumulated some kind of experience, right? And be it you're teaching beginners, you're not teaching advanced students, and you know your stuff. So why not learn more, so that as you're teaching, you're also learning. I felt that important imposter syndrome. It wasn't easy to shake off, right? Because you see some of the students asking you like really terrible questions that sometimes if you stand, you would not be able to answer them on the spot. But I'm really, really lucky that on my end, I am a strategic thinker as a UX designer. So the moment you shoot me with a question, I'm already on my feet thinking of responses, thinking of how to put one and two together. And
Mhm.
I felt like that was a superpower, and I encouraged myself, right? I tracked my progress. And in a while, I was like, damn, I've gone so far, and this is really worth it. So encouraging myself, having a supportive partner, having a mentor, these are the things that always, help me when I feel like I am not good enough. I
The
think.
idea of, having a mentor to guide you.
Hmm.
Now,
Hmm.
was that hard to find? Like having a mentor, was that something that was hard for you to find, or did that come easily? Because people on Twitter often say, finding a mentor these days is hard. I don't know. For you, was that like your experience?
No and yes, right?
Mhm.
So my mentor is the person who taught me product design, UX design, right? So I just talked to the guy. I just
Who's the guy?
said,
Is this
"You're
someone you
going to
know?
be my mentor." I honestly don't know. I am not.
Not
I
saying
don't
him.
know if it's okay. I don't think so.
Okay, okay, it's fine, it's fine, it's fine.
I don't think so. Yeah, if anybody wants to know, they can, message me personally. And sure,
Okay.
I would, because he actually do teach. So, I mean, free publicity for him. But he's really a cool guy. So he taught me when I started out, and it was difficult for me to interact with people, right?
Mhm.
Like the way you just go to Instagram, or you go to LinkedIn, or you go to Twitter to say, oh, hey, I want you to mentor me and all that. No, I didn't do that. Of course, I had people who I really like their work, and I follow them silently in terms of updates, in terms of what they're posting. Some of them are actually not even product designers, right?
Mhm.
An example is Timi Bajuru. She actually do help her posts actually helps me overcome my communication anxiety when it comes to talking with people. And with the line of work that I'm in, you're always going to talk with people, always
Yeah.
present your work. So yeah, she actually did help with her post. I mean, I've never actually even contacted her for almost 4 years that I've known her. So I've never contacted her, but her post, updates, and all that. Yeah, I also have some senior designers that I actually follow their work, maybe before they even became senior designers and all that.
Mhm.
So, but this guy, I just had it in my mind. I'm like, guy, you're going to be my mentor. And he started laughing. He started laughing. And, little by little, if I have issues, I go to his DM, he responds and all that. And we started building this rapport. And we are still good. I mean, after 3 years, we're still good.
Hey, that's good. That's nice.
Yeah.
So like, how did you come about like being into product design and then finding this mentor? Like how did you the story before the mentor now? That's all I'm going back for.
Okay. All right. So let's do a reverse back to
Yeah.
when I just started out in
Mhm.
tech, right? 5 years ago, I joined tech 5 years,
Five.
officially 5 years ago. Yes.
Let me guess. Let me
So,
guess. Let me take a
um,
wild guess. Let me guess. You were coding before.
okay, I was
Yeah.
coding, no,
Wait,
at
wait,
all,
wait,
far from
wait.
it.
Okay, let me guess. You were writing.
Yes,
Uh-huh. Okay,
I
now
know.
continue. Ah,
Yes, I know, but so yes, in a sense where yes, I was a writer, right, but not on the official. Like I don't have a full time role as a writer, but I was
okay.
doing it on the side. So I think after my national diploma, I was doing my industrial training, right,
Mm-hmm.
with NITDA. That's where everything started,
Oh, I know that office
and
in Abuja.
yeah. Yes, so they had like a lot of young people who are, into tech. They have like this ecosystem of young students doing
Mm-hmm.
IT, engaging in projects. And I was lucky to have a very good director who I was working under who really, really encouraged me to, work
Mm-hmm.
towards being in tech, whatever aspect it is. He was very supportive. And I think at some point I picked up coding, started HTML because I mean, without a proper orientation, when you think about tech, you just think of coding, right? Without the proper orientation. So that was it for me. When I started out, I was like, okay, I want to be a badass hacker. I want to, go into systems, do and all that. But unfortunately, that was not my thing. I started out actually learned HTML, CSS first. I did some projects on it, and then I moved forward to Python. I started, learning how to code in Python, but it wasn't it, and it was really discouraging, right? And my partner was like, "Okay, the thing is, you don't have to learn everything. You don't have to find what you want now. Just keep learning whatever you actually eventually like, whatever sticks. Definitely one is going to stick, right?" And I thought about it and I was like, oh, okay, I can keep on learning plenty things as long as I'm in tech, right? So there are a lot of things to do. And so what I did was I leveraged on my writing. I write leisurely. I write on the side. So I mean I'm a creative thinker. I do lots of writing. So why not? And then I moved towards technical writing. So I did get a job in technical writing where I was just helping out in the office. It wasn't something serious. So I
Yeah.
started
Yeah.
researching on, okay, how can I do better? And I stumbled upon UX writing. So UX writing, what is UX writing? And then I did the research. I couldn't find a lot of stuff on there. And I think few months later, I then stumbled upon UX UI. I'm like, okay, that sounds familiar.
Mm-hmm.
Let's just check it out. We checked it out, and believe me, they were only talking about UI the entire time. But I
No
went for it
UX.
because of the UX, because of no UX. They were just talking about the UI. You push pixels here, you do that, you do that. And I kept doing my research. I actually did start a course on UX writing, and I I afterwards I was sent the is it flyer for the course that I took with Uranus Academy.
Oh,
It was life changing. That was the beginning of my career. It was, I think, for the entire month of June, July. I can't remember, but yeah. So I took the course, and slowly, I began to fall in love. I actually even forgot about UX writing, right? I just started falling in love with UI design, and all that. And it stuck, right? Because I mean, with HTML, CSS, technical writing, UX writing, I did all those things, right? But I finally found the one that stuck, which was UX design, UX and UI, right? I really liked it, and I was ready to pursue it, right? And why not? I went ahead, pursued it. I didn't get my first job. A lot of people were saying, "Oh, they've gotten their first job before the bootcamp even finished," and I was like,
mad.
"God damn it! Am I on the right track here? Because I mean, what am I doing wrong?" So, but yeah, I eventually landed my first job. So
Right.
that was the journey.
That's very interesting journey. 5 years ago, did you imagine that you would end up in product design?
Okay, so no and yes,
You could
right?
imagine that you would be here 5 years ago
Of course, not
in
product
product.
design. No, no, no. Of
Okay.
course not.
Okay.
No, maybe a badass hacker, yes,
Nice.
but not product. Of course, not product design. No.
So what do you mean
No.
by yes partially? So which part is the yes part?
Okay, I actually thought that you were asking in my journey, did I think I would end up as a product designer?
Oh,
So obviously, yeah, obviously it was a yes.
oh, nice. So like for you, I have this thing where I'm thinking, right? Most people
Mm-hmm.
that I talk to, because like for me, this podcast is it's kind of a selfish thing, but it does help people where I look for interesting people whenever I have interesting topics and I just like to talk to them
Mm-hmm.
about. So like now
Yeah.
is research, I feel no, I feel writers make good
Mm-hmm.
researchers because most people I've been talking to, like some of them have had experience in writing, and like when you now
Mm-hmm.
talk like towards the UX aspect of it, they come out to say things that are really interesting and they're worth thinking twice about. Do you think so?
Mm-hmm.
Do you think you have like a very core UX skills because you were a writer?
So, okay, you have me on a tight spot right now.
Yeah, I know.
Uh, so not necessarily, right?
Okay.
I feel like what makes you a good UX researcher is your curiosity, right? I mean, if you're curious enough to want to know what is happening, why that thing is happening, or how can you help, where is it happening? I'm 100% that you're going to be a badass UX researcher. But the truth is, as a researcher, you would have to do a lot of documentation in terms
Mm-hmm.
of processes, in terms of findings, in terms of synthesizing data and all that, right? So you get a plus. It's a plus, right? If you have a writing background, because as a writer, you have that whole world of your own where you are allowed to express yourself, right? And that if you leverage on that, it's going to actually help you in terms of documenting your work, your process, storytelling. I mean, storytelling is really key. So yes, it's going to help you if you are or if you were a writer previously. So it's a skill that you can leverage on, and it's a transferable skills into UX. But if not, just being curious is enough to make you that. So be curious, want to find out what is what, right? And pushing yourself to be a better researcher.
I feel the reason why that thought came was like, as there was a time where I was writing for a certain
Mm-hmm.
blog for a friend. It was like 2018, right? And in
Yeah.
that time, what I did mostly was I researched the hell out of every single topic. So she's like, I should write about a certain artist that just released an album.
Mm-hmm.
So I just go and
Yeah.
I check the artist album, check the features on the album, check the people they featured, check about them before I now come up with like a very
Mm-hmm.
short piece. So that's where like that line of thought came from. And they were like,
Mm-hmm.
UX research.
Yeah, it's a transferable skill.
It's interesting. So in
Mm-hmm.
terms of communication, have
Yeah.
have your communication with people been different? Like, so as a UX researcher or a designer,
Yes, of course it has, because I was mandated to, speak a lot.
how do you battle that?
Yeah.
Not being someone who speaks a lot and then transitioning into being someone who speaks a lot.
It was really stressful. I felt, do I really need to learn how to do this thing, or should I just go back to my comfort zone and just relax? But I mean, it was a personality that I needed to do away with. I mean, I'm still a quiet person, right? But
Mhm.
when it comes to my work, I'm very vocal, because if I'm not vocal, then my points or my work is void to some extent.
Yeah,
So, like I said, I had this lady, Timi Badru,
yeah.
on LinkedIn. She's a public speaker, I think, and a lawyer. But I think but she's a public speaker. So she always posts about, talking in public, tips that could help you, posting events that she've talked at. And I was uh, low key stalking her page, trying to see how can I help myself. And I was having mock reviews,
With
right?
people.
With Yeah. So
Mhm.
and my mentor in the group. I think he noticed that in my boot camp, he noticed that I was a very quiet person, or maybe I don't know, maybe it was just luck. So I was made the team lead, which means that if I don't lead the team, then every single one of us is going to fail, right? So I needed to step up my game, and on the long run, that actually helped me. And I actually did have some tips that I could share, which is finding a mentor, or finding
Mhm.
someone who is ready to, listen to you. Try to just speak, and then
Mhm.
allow the person listen and criticize. Constructive criticism is really key. And also, I think I'm a mentor at ADP List. So I take people on mock interviews, prepare you for interviews, just talk about stuff, right? So it's cool. You can go on there, if not necessarily me being your mentor, you could check other people who could be your mentors. And another thing is just trying it out, right? Just take the first step and
And
see
just
how
do
it
it.
goes. If I show you, yeah, if I should show you the first video I was trying to present an IoT board, you'd literally cry for me. Like I was
Please,
shaking all over,
do you have it?
right?
Please send it. Please.
Yes, I saw it one other time, and I felt like, God damn it, I've grown so much, right?
Se-
I think it was 2019.
Send it, please. For
So
people watching on, for people listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, right? Go to YouTube. I'll put the clip in this video.
you are not going to shame me. No,
Uh,
you're not going to shame me.
I'll cut it half. I'll just put it halfway, and just go there, click and like watch it on YouTube and subscribe so you
I
know
would
when.
actually, I would, I would actually try to look for it and then post it. I mean,
Okay. Yeah.
if it can help someone do better.
Yeah, that's true. You
Yeah,
see,
so that's it.
it will help someone do better. I believe that. At Uranus, your experience I've heard Uranus a couple of times. I know people that like, share. Faye,
I think we're on the same set actually.
you see, that you guys are awesome
Yeah.
designers. You know, I think one of these days I would ask Faye to be on this podcast too. I hope she has time
Mm-hmm.
as well. I've heard Uranus a
Yeah.
lot, mostly from Faye and other
Mm-hmm.
people. As Uranus,
Mm-hmm.
right? What's your experience as?
Mm.
Now, this is not an ad for Uranus. I don't know anybody there. So for people listening, it's not an
Yeah.
ad or sponsored post. It's just generally just interest.
Mhm. Okay, so for me, I actually did not know who or who owned Uranus or what Uranus, whatever. I told you in the beginning, my partner just sent me the flyer and said, "Oh, since you're interested in UX, they're having a boot camp. Why not register?" Right. So my experience would be, I think, awesome. That's where I learned the word awesome actually. I kept saying it over and over and it stuck with me.
Mm.
Right. So
Yeah.
my experience there was life changing. It was awesome, right? Their curriculum was extensive in a sense whereby initially I told you when I was making my research, the first
Mm-hmm.
I think it was a 3 days or 2 weeks training, I can't remember, but it was just UI, right? And then I kept asking, how did we get here? Right. So but with Uranus, I think we took the first step in our design bootcamp was totally UX, right? Trying to understand why things happen, right? How to create
Okay.
maps and all that, right? So that's intentionality that comes with teaching.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that was a model part that I took because I saw my tutor being so patient. I didn't have any background because I studied agricultural technology. I didn't have any background. And
Mm-hmm.
some of my classmates on the boot camp actually were graphics designer, motion designer. They were into design, but I didn't have any prior knowledge, right? So the way he broke down the topics and everything that we needed to work on, it was really easy for me to follow,
Yeah.
and it was awesome. Anyways, it was awesome. You have like hands-on tasks that you need to do, you need to submit, and that actually help you grow. You need to present your work, so that helped with my vocal communication. And yeah, it was awesome. I met a lot of awesome people. Those are
Network.
my like online family. I'm actually almost teary.
Go.
Yeah, it's just
Why?
like
Why? Tell me.
memories
Ah,
because it's it's awesome. Like I cannot
explain.
actually express.
Yeah,
Yes,
I know that
but
feeling.
those guys are awesome. Hmm.
I know that feeling.
So yeah,
That's nice.
it's a good place to learn.
Mm-hmm. So Uranus,
Mhm.
please sponsor this podcast and this YouTube channel. I don't say your marketing.
Hopefully.
Hopefully. It's true. Yeah, my inside man. So you just, send them one or two text message and be like, check out this guy's podcast.
Okay, fingers crossed.
Okay, thank God. Yeah. So
Yeah.
now my
Mhm.
questions now are towards like teaching design, right?
Mhm.
As a mentor, you've had multiple sessions on ADP lists, you've spoken to a lot of people.
Mhm.
What are the
Mhm.
questions that you find people ask repeatedly all the time?
Okay. So most often than not, you hear people asking about how do I improve my process? How do I cope as the only designer in the group? Or you hear people saying, how do I price myself in terms of costing freelancing? Other
Mhm.
people are saying, how do I, upskill in terms of learning new skills in design and all that. So those are like most of the common question I get.
How do you answer this question?
I answer them truly and fervently. So
How
it's spontaneous. It's not like I prepare for this, like extensively prepared
like
scripts,
and
right?
I know, like what are
Mhm.
the answers you give people? And before we get there first, why do you think people
Mm.
ask this set of questions? You know,
Because these are real problems that people actually do face in their work ecosystem, right? And with the way that there is a very limited opportunity for mentorship, like maybe one on one, it's really difficult for you to know, am I really doing this thing right? Right. And you hear a lot of people on social media saying, do this, don't do this, this is how to do this. It's overwhelming, especially for beginners, right? I mean, people want to people want to just, I don't know, grow in terms of their career, and
Mhm.
they find a lot of stuff online. So they don't know how to process it, they don't know how to filter, they don't know that single source of truth,
Yeah.
right? So maybe talking to someone on a one-on-one level would
Feels
actually
to
help them gain perspective. Yeah. Okay, please just, if you can, just ask them back at me.
okay. So one was how do they cope being the only designer?
So I think most of my responses are from an empathetic point of view,
Mhm.
right? Like I was there. When I started off, I started off my career as a freelancer before I got my first full-time role. And I was the only designer on there. And I had just a year of experience, I think. Yeah, just not even up to a year, right?
Okay.
And it was challenging. I didn't know what to do. I'm just fresh out. I should I do this right? Should I don't know what to do. So it's actually a problem. You might be doing like awesome designs, dishing out, and they're like, oh, this is nice. But then deep down, you know that you want something more, right? And for junior designers, I feel like they really need that guidance in terms of a supervisor or a lead product designer, or maybe just a senior designer, or just someone, even a friend,
Mhm.
right? You could
Mhm.
still be on the same level and still provide guidance and that constructive criticism in terms of your work.
Yeah.
But the issue here is that a lot of people feel like they need more. There are there is a certain expectation that comes with being the only designer. So I feel like the answer to this would be for you to just trust the process, right? And also speak to people. So, for example, if you're working on a project that does not necessarily have an NDA, you could, share it with a mentor or a friend and ask for their guidance. You might not give them all the information, but you could just like, ask for help, right?
Yeah.
And the other thing would be to prepare yourself. Preparing yourself means using some tools that would guide you in terms of managing your time, because you would just drown yourself in work, especially when you're new out, you just want to deliver, right?
Mhm.
So it's okay, try to get some break, get a project management tool that would help you in terms of time, in terms of task organization, and all that. And also listen to podcasts if you can. So it's really not my strong suit, right? But some people
Mhm.
do like podcasts, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, there are a lot of podcasts that you could check out and read a lot. Reading actually do help, right? A very good place for you to learn is the Nelson Norman group. They
Yeah.
actually do have awesome articles. Yeah. Um, Career Foundry, Medium, you can get awesome articles on there, although there are a lot of writers. So
Yeah.
I'm not promising that everything on there is true, right?
Mhm.
Then you have AJ Smart. AJ Smart has a YouTube channel, awesome. More easy. There's this my favorite YouTuber on UI design, Misco. I think it's Misco.
Oh, everybody loves Misco. Who doesn't love Misco?
Yes, everybody loved Misco. So Misco was like, I know he wouldn't know this, but we are 5 and 6, best of friends, best of buddies, because what Misco has taught me is really awesome. Like it has for when I started,
Mhm.
it was what I needed, right?
Yeah.
So read articles, watch videos on YouTube from maybe specific channels. Also speak to friends, speak to mentors for constructive feedbacks, and trust the process. Organize yourself in terms of time and task, and also take
Okay.
a break.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you mentioned trust the process, right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
One of the questions that people ask you rather is like, what process and what kind
Mm-hmm.
of process do they follow, right? So if you are trusting the process, what's your idea on that?
So, okay, these are two different things, but I'll try to,
Yeah.
hold them together. So, trusting the process is for the designer is that you're new, right? There will come a time where you outgrow this situation,
Mhm.
right? So, trust that currently you're just facing that phase. It's a phase. You're definitely going to outgrow that.
Yeah.
In few months, probably you can make your case and then they hire another intern. So I mean, you have a helping hand, right? Or you might in a year move up to be an intermediate. You're no longer a junior, or you can move up to be a junior, but with levels, right?
Mhm.
So it's a process, right? You don't just know it all. You never actually know it all, but you don't just wake up and say, "Oh, I'm Odogo of design." No, it's a
Yeah.
process, right? So that's the process I was talking about for being the only designer. And then for the other question is, what are the processes that they
Yes.
need to take, right?
Yeah.
So there's work process. I think it highly depends on your work environment, right? So if you're working with a standard company, they already have like a process in place for their design team.
What's a
If
standard
you're
company?
the only product designer, or sorry,
What's a standard company?
oh, okay, so before anyone comes at me, there are different kind of teams, right? You
Okay.
have hybrid teams, you have cross-functional teams,
Uh-huh.
etc. So if you're working in a cross-functional team, you definitely have, other people on your team like marketers, product designers, software developers, QA testers, and the likes, right?
Uh-huh.
So all I'm saying is, if you're working in a big company that actually go through all the trouble of hiring a project manager, scrum master, QA tester, they already have a process, right? But
Yeah.
if you work in a startup or a small company that just have software developers and yourself, then you would have to, figure it out. How do I get work done here, right? So the
Okay.
process would, yeah, the process will vary depending on the type or the size of the company that you're working with, right? So, but in general, in terms of work, I think there are different frameworks as a UX designer that you can, utilize. You can use the design thinking process. You can use double diamond. It depends on the problem you're trying to solve, really. So there's no linear way of solving a problem. I mean, that's what I always tell them, right? So try to understand the problem first. What are you trying to solve,
Mm.
right? If you have that already figured out, you define your problem either 5 whys or using the fishbone technique or using the WH questions, right? If you
Yeah.
figure that out, you should be able to know what framework works for you. Are you using the design thinking process? Are you using Lean UX? Are you using the double diamond where you have the conversion and divergence? It all
Mm-hmm.
depends on actually what you're trying to solve, right?
Mm-hmm.
So my advice always is to understand your environment. What vibe is your environment giving you? If
Yeah.
currently you don't know that, I would advise that you go with the standard design thinking process, right? So you adapt the agile methodology if you have enough time. If you don't
Yeah.
have enough time, then why not go ahead with the Lean UX, right?
The more you
Mm-hmm.
keep talking, the more curious I get about the things you say. So, and
Mm-hmm.
another question that people normally ask you is about pay and charge. Now, this is
Mm-hmm.
a space where I generally don't like to talk about it myself, especially on this podcast, because there is a
Mm-hmm.
lot of controversy around how much you charge or how much you charge and like all of that. But then you are at
Mm-hmm.
liberty to say what you feel necessary, you know, how
Okay.
you answer this question.
All right. So, scratch his beard. All right. So the thing is, I think this is a very sensitive topic, right? So the first thing is to know your worth. What do you think your work is worth, right? So if it's worth 100K, sure, you could start your pricing. If it's worth 200, if it's worth 500, right? The first step is to know your worth in terms of work, right? The second is to understand the scope of work, right? I never
Mhm.
actually do price or give a price without understanding the scope of work. What am I working on, right? A lot of clients will just come, I just want you to do a mobile app, 4 pages. and that's all.
No,
And
why?
when you start designing, you get like 20 pages. You start seeing
Exactly.
things that were not there, And I mean, if you sign an agreement, you're legally bound to, do just for pay, like I'd like stick to the pricing, the initial pricing, because you read the agreement, you signed the agreement, so you have to deliver on it. I mean, but that will make you do a poor job, right?
Uh-huh.
So the second step is to understand the scope of work. What do you think you're going to work on? Are there liabilities or are there like dependencies in terms of deliverables? What are they doing on their own end, right?
Mhm.
So that's just it. Once you understand the scope, the third step is to put on your bargaining cap. Right. So if this project, after seeing everything, if this project is what, for example, 100K, right?
Mhm.
Make it 200K, right? Make it
Mhm.
200K so that when you start bargaining, some clients might say, okay, sure, go ahead and do it, right? That means you have 100K more to yourself. You could, take yourself to spa, treat
Yeah.
yourself after the project and all that, right?
Nice.
You could feel cool, do the work, you know. If it's not, you have to bargain, the bargain comes and all that. And bad as it bad, it falls on that 100, it falls on 100K, because that is the threshold. You cannot pass 100K, right?
Mhm.
It falls on 100K, and we are still good, right? I can have your project delivered, right?
Yeah.
Another thing is, the first one is knowing your work worth, then understanding the scope of project, and then by gaining your price. And then the other thing is time, right? For me personally, I don't just charge by the scope of work. I actually do charge by also with the time, right? So if we have a bulk of work that needs to be done in 6 months and you want it done in 3 months, and I know that I can do it in 3 months, I mean, sure, why not? But that means you're going to pay double, right?
Yeah.
So that's how I price from me, right? So time is a factor. Scope of work is a factor of my timing. And then I think you also need to consider, what do you need to your tools, right? Are you paying for any tools? Are you getting an assistance in terms of an intern who would work with you? Because I usually do that. Sometimes I can't carry all the load myself, and it's a good place for other people to learn, right? And have like a project. But I always discuss this with my clients. So yeah, for me, I think this should help you with the basic of negotiating for or getting a cost for a project that you're working on.
But I don't want to go deep in it. Like I don't want to start asking specific
Yeah.
question. Yeah. Maybe one day I will just settle down and then find somebody who is like very deep in this. And I just ask all the
Mm-hmm.
specific questions and I
Questions, yeah.
call numbers and all
Mm-hmm.
of that. Maybe one day, you know. For people watching or
Yeah.
listening, subscribe to the YouTube channel and to the podcast to know when that podcast comes out. Yeah. So
Yeah.
the next thing here is, what's it like having a full-time role and being able to freelance? Now, as you are committed to this company and yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Now, how are you being able to freelance to other people? Do they come to you? Do you search for them? Now, this is very personal. Like, do you come to you? Do you search for them, or do you?
Okay. So first thing, I have a full-time role,
Mhm.
and I still do my gigs, but that's my extra time, right? So I don't work the entire time. And I mean, I didn't sign a non-compete, which a non-compete means that I cannot work while I'm working on on the full-time role. I didn't sign that, right?
Mhm.
I'm actually do allowed to work on other projects, right? So that's out of the way. And how do I get my clients?
Mhm.
Funny thing, I've actually never looked for clients. So I
Referrals.
don't think I have, sir.
Referrals. See now, sir.
Yeah, yeah. Sorry, force of habit. So yeah, mostly is referrals, right? And I don't do a lot of freelance work, right? I think I get my freelance work maybe once in a year or max twice in a year. And believe me, the payout is really good. right?
Ah.
So, and yeah, and it stretches for like 4 months, 6 months. So, I mean, that's enough. I'm being paid monthly or, in a bulk of cash, maybe 70%, 60%.
Mm-hmm.
And it all depends on what the agreement is with the client. But I've actually never gone out to say, oh, I'm a product designer and I do freelance. This is my work. No, it's usually based on people who know me. And so the first big freelance gig I got was via LinkedIn. The guy just reached out to me. He likes my work. Can we jump on a call? Sure, why not? We had this conversation and over the phone. He said this is what he's building,
Mm-hmm.
and I said, okay, send me the scope of work. We went through. He wanted to talk about the pricing instantly. I said, I would not, in my mind, I said, I will not be bullied into telling you how much I will pay for a project that I don't know jack shit about, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, so that was my first project, and it was the almost the best project I've worked on because
Almost.
I was,
They not pay you
yeah, I mean,
finish.
no, they did.
Okay.
Like they did. So I mean, I've worked on other awesome projects, and I don't know if I would say that one is the best, right?
Mhm.
I mean, there are more to come, right?
Okay.
So yes, I loved the management. It was remote. I got to talk with people from, around the country and outside of the country, and it was beautiful. And there's that openness in terms of idea perceptions. I mean, what I would say now would not be what I necessarily have to do in my design. And it was a
Yeah.
conversation, and it was a back and forth between teams and management. It was beautiful, right?
Oh, nice.
So from there, I kept posting on LinkedIn about my, tech, my teaching and all that, and people are actually get interested in seeing you working, like seeing your work process and all that. I got another call. I got another call. I
Mad.
got another call, and
Ah.
so on and so forth.
Ah.
So
More
it's
cash.
basically just referral. Yeah.
That makes
Yeah.
sense. So at the company you work for, what's the name of the company you work for?
Natview Technology here in
Okay. So
Abuja.
what do you people do?
So we are an IT consulting company, and we also do a lot of digital skill training, and we have like areas that we like. Our office, we have technology and we have foundation, right? So the
Mhm.
foundation focuses more on giving back to the community, in terms of digital skills and in terms of data analysis, because most of our data aspect is in Kaduna.
Okay.
That's where it is situated. And then we in Abuja, we are the tech guys,
Mm.
right? So we deal mostly in building software products, and then networking, and also data. When if it comes to that, we have in-house data analysts that we work with. Yeah.
Oh, nice. So your day to day is it very interesting thing? What's it like? You know,
It's basic. You
you work
wake
from
up
home.
early, try not. No, I don't. I work on site,
Oh, where's your office
sadly.
at? Say sadly.
I I cannot disclose because this is life. I mean, I don't
Oh,
want.
you know, let's come to your office.
Yeah, I mean, you could easily just go online and just check it, but I think our website is down because we have a big launch. So yeah,
Oh, nice, nice.
yeah. So we
Okay.
are reconstructing.
Now, okay. So we're approaching the end like this now. If you have questions that
Mm-hmm.
are staring up in your head that you want to ask me, please start thinking
Mm-hmm.
about them. But like right now, I just want to find out more about you, like tools that you use. So like product management tools that you mentioned, right?
Mm-hmm.
What kind of product
Mm-hmm.
management tools do you use on your day to day? It could not be for design, it
Okay.
could be for other things.
My go-to is ClickUp, right?
Mhm.
I've used Trello in terms of in terms of tax management, because I mean, you have a lot of things that you're going to do and you don't want to get overwhelmed. So tax management, I use ClickUp. And I also use there's this app for timing yourself. Let me just quickly go to my gallery and see. I don't think I'll be able to see it, but Yeah. Well, in essence, what it does, it helps you keep track of your time. So you work for 25 minutes and then you take a 5-minute break, right? So you're mandated to take your eyes off the screen, right? And I also have a smartwatch, right? Usually tells me when I'm sitting for too long. So it just tells me to take a walk and all that.
Mm.
And apart from Figma, Adobe XD, InVision, I also use, let me see, I don't have all my tools at the top of my head, but um, I'm trying to look at my
Do,
screen right now to see all the tools I have open.
do you use Notion?
I have retro 5 and 6.
I
Five and
love
six.
Notion.
Okay, I literally don't go a day. I'm not even exaggerating without opening my Notion every single day except Sunday because sometimes I work on Saturdays, sometimes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Me
So
too.
I absolutely love that.
I can't imagine if they never created Notion. I'm like, my life will be jaga jaga everywhere. I
I
said,
actually don't know what my writing and documentation looks like before Notion. I can't remember it honestly because I started my career with Notion.
exactly. Like Notion has just
Yeah,
everything, like the timing, the
yeah,
Kanban, the documentation. It's like
exactly.
it's that tool that you need to make the food sweet. It's like you did not put Maggie inside food. Exactly.
Yeah, yeah. There's that. So I don't think I use a lot of tools, but yeah, ClickUp, Notion, retro.io.
What's that for?
It's for retrospect, right?
Okay.
When you've had a sprint, so maybe you schedule a sprint for or 2 weeks, and then you want to look back at what you've done with the team, what you could have done better, and all that. So it's a cool software that you could work with your
Mm,
team, if you're working in an agile environment.
okay.
So there's that. And what else? Slack. I mean,
Everybody has to.
yeah, yeah. So Slack, or I don't use Discord, but some people use Discord, so I use Slack, right? What other thing? I know I have like a handful of tools I use, but at this moment I don't think I can even remember them. So those are like the five go to, plus the timer. I think it's called focused timer, and I also have notes, the usual notes that are up there,
Yeah.
the stick notes and all that. Yeah, they actually help me, as little as they are. They actually help me in my projects and all.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah,
It's not like a
yeah.
productivity like guru that you always have all these systems set up.
Not really. I wish I could just show you my screen, right? I have all these tabs. Like I group my tabs
You can
together so
take a
that
screenshot and send for me. For people
okay.
watching or listening on Spotify, go to YouTube and subscribe to see this thing. Exactly.
So I'm going to take a screenshot of it and then
Okay.
probably open some of the tools and then
Okay.
show you how it looks.
Okay. Nice.
Yeah,
I really appreciate that. Thank you. uh
you're
So now,
welcome.
books. What kind of books do you
Hmm.
read? What do you read?
I don't mean to be professional, or I like
Anyhow.
novels.
Okay.
I like novels, right? Yeah, and I prefer them in paperback rather than, because I feel like I want to
Blood of Jesus. I covered this with the blood of
screen.
Jesus. The reason why I was saying blood of Jesus was because he paused. So like he what's happening?
Okay, Jesus, this is okay. So, what was the last thing you heard?
You were like you prefer them in paperbacks because then it's not
Yeah.
okay. I
Okay, because I want to try to spend little time on my screen. I want to reduce my screen time, so I prefer paperback, something to take me away from my screen. But
yeah.
yeah, I do read that novels.
Do you read like other books like fictional, maybe self meditation, self awareness, psychology, all those kind of things?
No, There's no two way about it. Honestly, I don't. I think the only ones I try to read are career
Mm,
books like Sprint, um, uh, I think UX books that has to do with career growth. Like
mm,
I said, single source of truth. So I like to go to verified authors to
yeah.
read and learn more.
Will you ever write a book?
Yes, I did, but it's online, but it's not published, like published.
Oh, you did already. Ah,
But yeah.
I'm late to the party. When you publish it,
I don't know.
you don't know what.
It's been long. I don't even know. I think it was 2019
What's it about?
or before. I can't. It's a novel. I usually write romance novel. So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I'm a sucker for love. So yeah.
Hi, before we get back into the pod, this podcast is sponsored by Narruption. Now, Narruption's so informing young Nigerians about politics, startups, tech founders, stories of interesting Nigerian youths like you, maybe you, maybe you, maybe. However, they have a podcast and they also give out news about stock exchange. Now, I'm very serious about this because Narruption is fun to read. They distill articles that are about stock exchange, market value, interesting political news that's happening for young Nigerians, to young Nigerians, by young Nigerians. And it's fun, check out their podcast and their Instagram handles to find out more information. But like, trust me, honestly, it is fun. Yeah. With that being said, let's get back into the pod.
So for people listening, we went on a brief sabbatical. MTN and Glow forced us to go out for a while, but like we're back. God no go agree.
Romantic novels, right? And workbooks, right? And when it comes to workbooks, it's just the usual Steve Krug, Don't Make Me Think, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I have that. And then Design of Everyday Thing, Don Norman, and Sprints.
I want to read Sprint. Like I have it on my list to read.
I think for Sprint, I have it in soft copy. I'm not done with reading it. I think I started the first few 10 pages and then I got distracted. So,
Oh,
but I just read it once in a while.
is work related, Abby? Is this similar to the 4 hour work week? Do you know that book?
No, no, I don't know the book, but yes, it's work related.
In the future, do you still want to write
Yeah, of course.
for like
So
UX?
when it comes, yeah, sure, I want to, of course. When it comes to work, right, I want to, especially the new role that I've just, got into, there'll be a lot of writing in terms of PRDs, in terms of stories, user stories,
Yeah.
documentation, and all that. It will need me to write. Although this time around, I'll not be doing leisure writing and romantic writing and all that, but yeah, I'll be writing, and in as much as I'm having that opportunity to pour out of my knowledge
Mm-hmm.
on the paper by pen, I mean, I'm all for it.
Do you write UX medium articles for the public?
It's part of the things that I'd like to do this year, right?
Okay.
I already have like some on my content catalog on Notion, so hopefully I'll be pushing some very soon.
Yeah, I saw your Instagram picture. So I'm saying this again. For people that are listening, I'm going to put a clip here on YouTube. And I'm just going to put it there for people to see and then give a link to your Instagram so people can go and watch it there.
Hi, some people. Welcome to part 2 of understanding the interview stages. Previously, we talked about the first 3 stages of the hiring process, which are.
It was really nice.
Yeah,
Yeah, that was
thank
nice.
you so much. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Maybe another time we get to speak again, you would come and walk me
Mhm.
through how to ace interviews. Just know this.
Hopefully.
Yeah, it says hopefully.
Yeah.
Please come back again. You know what I mean? That's
I
basically.
shall.
Yeah, thank you.
Mhm.
That's basically all I have. And yeah, you said something
Mhm.
that I want to ask. You said something
Mhm.
around fishbone method when you were talking about like research methods. Like that's my last question. What's fishbone
Yeah.
method? I'm literally just hearing it for the first time.
So it's a technique, right? The fishbone technique, for it's a visual way to look at a problem like a cause and effects way. So what is causing a problem, right? So what effect does that problem have, right? I at the moment, right, if I try to explain it, I think I would start lecturing through the entire process. But the fishbone technique focuses on a cause and effect kind of way of seeing a problem, because in your defined stage of problem of your design thinking process, right, you need to understand the problem before you come up with a problem statement. So a better way for you to do this is to use well, one of the way for you to do this is to use the fishbone technique, right, where you have the problem, right, you know what the problem is now. So for example, the problem would be that, for example, me and you, we had to go on a break. That's a
Yeah.
problem for your
Yeah.
podcast. Why did what's caused that problem? It has to do with MTN, or it has to do with Glow. It has to do with poor network, right? So what was the effect? The effect of that problem is that we were not able to finish the podcast XYZ time. We are not able to upload as scheduled and all that. So you begin to derive a lot of problems in, you know, that this is a problem, this is what the problem is doing to the environment or the current product that you want to design. And then you get the effect. How has this problem actually influenced maybe like the outcome of that product, right? So once you have that, you're able to then understand your problem better, you're defining your problem better, and then you get more structured problem statement to work with when you're creating your product.
That reminds me. That reminds me of this book I read. Stop Guessing. No, the book is Stop Guessing. It's a problem-solving book.
Stop getting.
Stop
Okay.
Guessing. And he mentioned something relating to like observing failure patterns. That's interesting. So that's all I have. I would say I like your neck piece. It's nice.
Oh, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That's all I have. Thank you so much, Cynthia, Anastasia. Please pronounce your surname, Vicky.
Caxton.
Caxton. Yeah. Thank you so much for
Yes.
sitting down with me. I really appreciate this. So
Thank you so much, David. It was a
Yeah.
pleasure actually doing this. I absolutely enjoyed my time here with you.
Yeah, thank you. I try my best to make so. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. I love feedbacks like this. It gives me joy. It's like, yes. Yeah.
It was really worth it.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Bye.